Hello, and welcome back to my channel. This is the Architect, and this is the third episode of a podcast I've been started a few weeks ago. I'm going to continue this podcast here on YouTube and my Patreon. This is the first one I will be posting on my Patreon, episode 3. This one will come out first on my Patreon, then 7 days later it will be posted on my YouTube. Patreon members get it first. That's the benefits of being the Patreon. So if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. All right, so let's jump into this. Today's episode, I like to speak freely, so I think I'm going to do that. Just speak open. I have notes that I read from, but it's more of off the top of my head. So if you made it this far, 3 episodes in, let me go ahead and talk a little bit more about myself. I am an architect. I am above a magician. I have an active codex I write in and write laws. I have walked the abyss for 11 years. Came out uninjured but changed. And that's the whole point. You face your biggest fear when you walk into the abyss. So I'll do more on that of origin story, but that's just a little bit about myself today. My credentials. I do not have a teacher. I am a teacher. I am not a student. My studentship, or me being a student, is done, but I'm always learning and evolving, updating my codex, updating my knowledge. Do I read books? No. I do not read books. I learn from gnosis. I learn from experience. I listen to my intuition. I meditate daily, multiple times daily, depending on the day, depending on what I feel I need. I'm not bound to my ego. I operate from shadow. I was actually not born with a full intact ego. I was mostly shadow. Memory, I can remember just about events any time in my life really well. Experienced events. Something I read, something I did. During my abyssal journey, I was fully attached to ego and became a completely different person I did not recognize for 11 years. It went away, it died, I killed it, as you will learn about today. That's why I'm talking about this, so you can understand some of my own personal experience, because we're going to talk about the shadow that became God, a black magic philosophy of non-duality. This is my system, invented by me. I do not follow any other system. I incorporate ideas, for example, from black magic, chaos magic, left-hand path, because I walk the left-hand path. As in my last video, I completely do not acknowledge the right-hand path or use any other system. I do not think there is a deity or a God outside my body, and I serve it. I believe we are all gods within us, and that the left-hand path is deification. I also know that both left and right-hand paths cannot be mixed. It's 2 different currents, 2 different energies. If you mix the currents, it'll cause your mind to crack and collapse. That's why Aleister Crowley went crazy. All right, so let's get into this. So basically, there's a fundamental lie built into the human experience, a metaphysical illusion we're born into and rarely question. We're born not knowing, forgetting everything. That's why we're here on this earth. This plane of reality is for leveling up our souls, if we have a soul. Not every person you see walking has a soul. Maybe you do have one, maybe you don't. It all depends on what you have done in your life and the reason why you came here. I know the idea that we're all equal and everything should be fair is all great and utopian, but that's absolutely communism, and it's bullshit. We're not equal, and nothing's fair. Get used to it. You have some abilities that other people have, and some other people have abilities that you don't have. The illusion is that we're all equal, and that we're all the same. That couldn't be more farther from the truth. No two people are the exact same. Not even in experience. When they see the same event unfold in front of their eyes, they're both going to see it differently with different lenses of perception. It depends on what archetypes and energy grids, lattices they have on their field, and what kind of trauma they've seen and experienced in their life is going to paint how that experience looks to the different observer. Just like in quantum theory, the observer affects reality. When you look at something, you affect it with your field. We are taught to believe in a world divided, good versus evil, light versus dark, ego versus shadow. But from the vantage of the Black Flame, these binaries are not eternal truths. They are narrative devices, mythic scripts that serve a deeper awakening. And when we view these divisions through the lens of black magic and non-duality, the entire architecture of self begins to collapse in service of something far more powerful: raw presence, stillness in the void, that place between decision and action. That's pure potential. That's where black magic is. That's why it's called black magic. It's in the void of nothing. Has nothing to do with evil. That's a lie put on by the Catholic Church. In all these right hand love and light, excuse me, love and light individuals that don't face the shadow, that ignore the shadow, that try to destroy the shadow. You can't destroy the shadow because the shadow is truth. The shadow doesn't seek knowledge because there is knowledge and information within the shadow. They know the truth. It's all within inside you. That's why it's called black magic in the left-hand path. You should always listen to how you feel. Your thoughts will betray you. Your thoughts are painted by your experience in life, your level of trauma, the archetype that you have locked onto your field that you cannot unlock. Because that takes a certain level of magic and understanding to do, because magic is basically all field physics manipulation to warp your reality to how you want to bend it to your will, as long as you command it, and only if you command it. The universe doesn't answer prayers. It doesn't listen to begging. Can I have this? Asking. You take it, or you don't. So, during this podcast, we're going to talk about the reinterpretation of biblical mythology, not from the right-hand path point of view, but from a magical left-hand path, grimoire point of view. We're going to look at psychological structure and spiritual identity. We dive deep into the archetype of Cain and Abel, explore the constructed nature of ego and shadow, and extract the truth that lies beneath all division. You are not the story, you are the flame that writes it. So let's start in this part, the fiction of two selves. Most spiritual traditions emphasize balance or healing between the ego and the shadow. Psychology invites you to integrate them. Religion tells you to transcend them. Both are operating under the assumption that these entities are real. The shadow and the ego are not real. They don't exist. They're stories that you have written through your human experience, through trauma, through childhood, through formative years of growing up. Through energy exchanges is really what it is. They're not real. From a non-dual black magical view, the ego and the shadow are constructs, fictional avatars developed by your nervous system in response to survival patterns, social programming, trauma, and desire. You see, the ego is the survival mask. It's built from fear of rejection, tribal abandonment, and a programmed morality. It's what you put on to do day-to-day business, to make people think you're one certain type of person when you're really not. Most unauthentic thing to do ever. We all do it. We've done it. And it's definitely not good energetically on a soul level. So the shadow is the container of all that the ego could not handle. All that was too wild, too lustful, too knowing, too sovereign, too truthful. The shadow operates only in truth. It doesn't operate in lies. It's connected to the soul. That's why it's dark. That's why it's called the shadow. It's not really literally a shadow, it's just dark. Not dark in the sense of sick and sadistic, which it can be, and that's relative to a lot of things. But dark in the sense that it's not going to tell you what you want to hear. It's going to tell you you look fat in that dress. It's going to come off as maybe a jerk, someone that's insensitive. But it's someone that's just keeping it real, authentic. Neither the ego or the shadow is who you really are. You are unnameable fire, the awareness that animates both masks, the presence that survives every personality collapse. You do not have an ego and a shadow. You wrote them, and now you can burn them. Or you can choose one and use it for your benefit. So, duality as a constructive battlefield. This is the second part. In dualistic paradigms, we see constant internal war. Ego versus shadow. Cain versus Abel. Light versus dark. God versus devil. These stories are everywhere because they mirror the illusion most people live within. It's a war of fragments. A theater of identity and that insist on opposition. Most people die inside this myth. Set versus Ma'at. Satan versus Jesus. Whoever versus whoever. It's the classic action movie Transformer, Optimus Prime versus Megatron. Autobots versus Decepticons. G.I. Joe versus Cobra. I think you get the picture. It's an old story. It's an old archetype that's been told over and over and over again since probably stories first were told. These stories are everywhere because they mirror the illusion most people live within. Like I said this already. It's a war of fragments. Why do they die inside this myth? They polish the ego until it's unrecognizable. Only they suppress the shadow until it festers and sabotages them. Rarely do they ask the core question: what if this entire fight is fiction? Here's a spoiler alert. It is. It's pure fiction, 100% fiction. There's absolutely no battle for your soul. Sorry, Christians. Your beliefs are full of shit. Islam. Your beliefs are full of shit. Judaism. You're magicians. Moses is a current. It's not a person, it's an archetype. The Jewish nation is hooked up to that current. The Tanakh, the Torah. The Christian Bible. Those stories aren't real. And the fact that they're not literal. They're real in the fact that they're archetypes. It wasn't written by some sky god with a beard. It was written by people. It was basically stolen from Kemet and changed. The Torah is a codex. That's why there's so many laws. It's a codex for that group of people to follow. No one else. They know there's no God in the sky. It's within. Like I said, there's absolutely no battle for your soul. It's a lie created by the Abrahamic faiths to bind you and control you to their egregore and steal your life force. Yes, I said egregore. Every religion has an egregore that is harvesting your life force. Whether you want to accept that or not, that is a truth. So, on this physical plane, there is a war going on between light and dark. Control versus sovereignty. That is a fact that all religion does not want you to know. Religion is trying to pull you in. They want your money. They want your energy. They need it so they can keep their power. Yes, there is a spiritual war, but it's not a spiritual war between angels and demons or daemons. It's not some Jesus fighting Satan. Those are archetypes, energy systems, things to help you do your magic. Satan is destruction and adversary. He's the adversarial energy. The archetype of Jesus is the healer. It's one of them. They're not things to be worshipped or things to follow like a religion or temples to be built for. They're things to be used to make your life better, if you know how to do it. That's the key fact, if you know how to do it. So religion doesn't really want you to know that there is no battle for your soul, because if there's a battle for your soul, then there's business. No battle for your soul, then there's no business, there's no point. There never was original sin. That's bullshit. No woman ate an apple from a tree and was kicked out of a garden. It's not true. It's metaphor. And we're going to talk a little bit about one of those stories from Genesis. We'll do that here in just a minute. So part 3, we can continue on. Choosing the shadow as interface. Here's the paradox. Although neither ego nor shadow is real in the ultimate sense, the world still demands a mask. So, yes, you can know its non-duality does exist. But if you operate from that non-dualistic point of view, you're going to be dull, unemployable, no friends, no love, because you're just no life. You need the story. But see, with magic and the understanding, you can write your own story, your own myth. You don't have to live that trauma story or that other story that you think you have. To interact, to create, to build, to perform, you must choose a mask. And in black magic, the optimal interface is clear. It's the shadow. Why? Because the ego is artificial. It complies. It's a slave. It's a slave to the ego, and it's a slave to systems outside the body, to gods outside the body, to religion, to giving offerings, to worshiping, to looking for validation, to lying to yourself, to creating stories about life that's not true to make you feel better. The shadow wants truth, and it wants to burn the illusion, the lie of the ego. It doesn't want to ignite it in unite it in black magic. Black magic wants complete ego death, destruction, not ego death in the sense that what you experience on a mushroom trip, No, ego death in the sense that you put it in a little box and you send it to Amazon fulfillment center to get rid of it and sell it because it doesn't suit you. It's a false self. Think in computer terms, it's a false program. It's a real program that you should be running, especially if you're doing black magic as your shadow, because that's where the power is. That's where the likability is. So I already said it, let me say it again. To interact, to create, to build, to perform, you must choose a mask. And in black magic, the optimal interface is clear. It's the shadow. Why? Because the ego is artificial. It's compliance. It softens your voice to make others comfortable. It edits your genius to avoid rejection. It bows where it should burn. The ego is a peace treaty signed under duress. It's saying nice things so you don't lose friends instead of being authentic. It's not being who you truly are. It's running a program that could be, or usually fueled by parents, religion, self, and society. You want power, you operate from shadow. Understand that non-dualism is true, and pick one. Pick your poison, as they say, even though one's not poison. The only poison one is the ego. The shadow, on the other hand, functions in reality. It adapts without apology. It doesn't need permission. It doesn't self-sabotage for comfort. The shadow is primal, present, tactical. In society, it commands the room because it has no desperation to belong. It becomes magnetic because it's immune to falseness. It only speaks in truth, as it should. In black magic, this is critical. If you are to manipulate reality, cast spells, shift timelines, you cannot be pleading with the world. You must confront it. And only the shadow can do that without flinching. The shadow is not chaos. It is precision without censorship. It is authentic. It bypasses the bullshit and goes straight to delivery. All right, so that brings us to part 4. Cain and Abel, shadow as ascension. In this framework, the biblical myth of Cain and Abel becomes something entirely different. It's not a story of jealousy. It's a story of initiation. This must be stated. Before we go on, I'm going to state this so we all have an understanding. In black magic, we do not accept the Abrahamic worldview of the Christian Bible or the Jewish Tanakh, or the Quran. The Black Flame does not accept the idea that these books are the literal truth written by some bearded sky god to control and manipulate you. They're not literal stories. We do not look at them as literal, word for word. The Black Flame acknowledges the distortion. It sees the Bible not as a sacred text of monotheism, but as a corrupted archive, an encoded manual whose original purpose has been veiled by centuries of religious control and dogma. Beneath the dogma, beneath the edits, lies a deeper current, a technology of transformation. Basically, the Bible is a collection of grimoires. It's about magicians. That's what a prophet is. A prophet is a magician. They don't tell you that. These stories are from a time when people went to school to be prophets and magicians. They would join the mystery schools and learn the information. They just wouldn't wake up one day and just start spouting nonsense at a church. One, churches didn't exist, and two, that's nonsense. Prophets is something you train to do. We'll talk more about prophets later. If you would like a video on prophets and prophecy and what it is, I can do a podcast on that. If you would like that, you can leave a comment down below. The true origins of these teachings in the Tanakh and the Christian Bible, they point all the way back to Kemet, where scripture was not worshipped, but used to initiate, to transmute, to awaken. The Bible, in its uncorrupted form, was a ritual device, a symbolic code meant to guide mortals through death to self into the birth of divinity. But it was twisted and was told that there's a God outside your body and that he hates you, that he's jealous, and God forbid if you look at a titty on the internet and actually enjoy it. God forbid you think about wanting to have a nice car, live in a nice home, or be rich. That's all programming by the Christian church to keep slaves and keep people in control and down. That's why they say the love of money is the root of all evil. One, that evil doesn't exist. It's a human idea to label something as good or bad. Shit just happens. Whether it's good or bad, it just happens. You can't control it. It's out of your control. And neither should you try. Some people have different fates than you. It goes all back to the point of where we're not equal. Get over it. Suck it up, buttercup. You can't be me because you didn't go through the shit that I did. And I can't be you because I didn't go through the shit that you did. That makes us, by definition, not equal. And if you think so, you're fucking retarded. That's just the way it is. Monotheism hijacked these stories and took it and made them their own. Said there was a guy in the sky that would damn you. The priesthood, they sanitize it. However, not everyone or everything has forgotten these teachings. The Black Flame remembers. This was never a book of obedience. It was a system of godhood and how to become a god. It's what you did to follow a certain path routine to become a god. To be called what in metaphysics is called the God man. See, there's human and the God man. Human is the lower species. God, man is the higher conscious one. If you want more information on that, metaphysical ideas, we can do a video here on that, and I probably will. Might do it next video. Not too sure. I don't have a plan. I don't quote unquote live in my masculine energy, that new age bullshit. I go with the flow every single day. Every day I wake up and I have no idea what I'm going to do. And if I finish what I'm going to finish, I finish it. And if I don't, I don't. I don't give a shit. I live life by my rules and my sovereignty, not some culture of, hey, I got to be productive or I'm just a piece of crap. Yeah, if you want to fall into that slave mentality, go for it. Most people are controlled by a red light called a traffic light. Tells them when to go and stop. You really got to be a nonconformist, man, to really get your magic at a high level in black magic, sorcery, necromancy, whatever you choose on the left-hand path. You have to be a nonconformist. Conformity doesn't work here. We don't want followers. If you want to be a follower, go join the right-hand path and go to church. Jesus wants followers. We need gods, sovereign individuals, people that know what they want and are honest with themselves. They don't live in the illusion. That's a leader. That's what Universe B is. They're leaders. Most of the rich people in the world are Universe B. They're not Universe A. Most of the people that feed the system are Universe A. They do all the work. It's like a slave mentality. If you're into that thing, go ahead. Me, I'm not. I like to be free. My freedom is very important to me. My sovereignty is extremely important to me. I hope yours is too. It's probably why you've made it this far in the video. Or in the podcast, whatever the hell you want to call it. The recording. And it's through the lens of black magic, of liberation over literalism, that we reclaim the myth of Cain and Abel, no longer a tale of sin or sibling rivalry. It becomes a mirror of inner alchemy. Abel is the ego, compliant, obedient, validated by external power. Cain is the shadow, unfiltered, raw, dismissed by the divine archetype. So Cain and Abel are archetypes. So Abel is the ego, Cain is the shadow. One is Universe A, one is Universe B. One follows the right-hand path, one follows the left-hand path. I'll let you figure out which one's which. I'll give you a hint. Abel's the guy you can't stand who's overly nice. And Cain is the person that smacks him and puts him in his place. Actually doesn't put him in his place. He offs him. He gets rid of him. He's gone. When Cain kills Abel, he does not commit sin. He commits a ritual. He ends the performance. It's actually a death rite. You can burn certain color candles and do this if it's your time. So Cain ends the performance. Cain slaves the mask. Cain ascends through rebellion, not acceptance. Source doesn't want perfection. He wants the lowest of the low. Or it wants the lowest of the low. It's not a he or a she. It's not a thing. It's no thing that has consciousness. It's an energy, basically. That's what creates this whole place. The one way you can understand what you're in is not really a simulation, but more like an energetic video game. Not a digital one, an energetic one, basically. Cain doesn't ask for permission. He becomes God, ending the self that worships gods. We don't worship gods in the left-hand path. We become gods. You can't worship what you already are. This is shadow alchemy in action. In black magic, ascension is not moral perfection. It is complete liberation from identity dependency. It is the slaying of all false forms so that the true current, your command, your signal, your flames can act freely. I have some bad news for some people. Ascension is not up. It is in. It is inside you. It is deep. It is primal. It is the moment when nothing external defines you and everything internal obeys you. Manifestation is taking something from the mind and making it reality. Basically, reality reflects what's inside. That's a magical law. What's within is without. As above, so below. Walking this path is not easy. When the world hates your flame, Section 5. For years, maybe a decade or more, you lived in your shadow without knowing the term. You spoke your truth. You didn't play polite. You rejected fake social contracts. And the world, society, former friends that you thought were close, they rejected you for it. There's probably someone right now listening to this thinking, yeah, that was me. You want to know something? That was me. Rejected by my family. Rejected by everyone I know. At this point in my life, at middle-age years, it's the best fucking thing that ever happened. Because it means I was right and they were parasites. They did something wrong. And they weren't supposed to be in my life. Because I would rather operate from authenticity and truth than live on my knees in someone else's bullshit reality. I didn't come here to do that. I don't know about you. If you've made it this far in the video, you probably didn't come here to live a bullshit reality either. That's probably safe to say. This wasn't dysfunction. It was the exact signal of sovereignty, speaking your truth instead of playing the bullshit role that they want you to play. The more you stood in your truth, the more parasites you repelled. Your field became radioactive to performance-based people. I can't stand those type of people, you know, the fake people. And what they called too much was exactly the right amount of fire required to incinerate illusions. They saw you as the villain in a story where they were pretending to be moral. You became the mirror that showed them everything they had denied in themselves. And when people can't kill the truth, well, they do the next best thing that they think they can do. They exile it. They kick it out. They call it the black sheep. Well, being the scapegoat is better than being the sheep. I'd rather be the scapegoat than the sheep that follows the path to the slaughterhouse. Remember, goats climb high, sheep follow. Even the Christians say it. Be a sacrificial lamb of God. Well, I say fuck that shit. And I say fuck your God and fuck your sacrifice. Because I'm not sacrificing my life, my sovereignty, my freedom, my autonomy to follow something that doesn't fucking exist. You were exiled, being a black sheep. That's just a figure of speech. You're a goat. You're the scapegoat. You climb mountains. That's what happened. But that exile was your initiation. That social death was the sacrifice. That loneliness, well, that was the proving ground where your ego died and your real presence emerged. You just haven't realized it yet. You have to remember. That's why it's good to sit at night and recall and think about what you did if you have time. Well, even if you don't have time, make time. There's some things that are more important than living in an unconscious reality of hustle mentality and do this and be productive because some idiot thinks it's the thing you're supposed to do. That's bullshit. One of the most sovereign people that you could feel the black flame energy. I posted a video the other day about this. If you're on Patreon, this will be last week. If you're on YouTube, this will be posted probably a week or two ago, depending on when I finally get this out. But it was on G.G. Allen. He was a walking curse. He was a baneful prophet of the death current. He was probably not aware or conscious of what he was doing, but he was pure black flame sovereignty. He didn't give a fuck about anything. He was a nonconformist to the T. It wasn't a performance. It's how he was. He actually was a prophet. He lived a prophet's life and died a prophet's death. Some might say, well, that's crazy. How do you know that? Well, one, I can feel the black flame when he speaks. He's vulgar. He actually believes what he's saying. Calls himself the underground messiah. I might put that in here. Clip it into the video. I think that would be a good idea. I could clip the whole interview here. He says some pretty disturbing things that most people would find, most rational people, or quote unquote rational conformist, would shun away from, to say the least. probably give him a heart attack. But that was truth. He believes it is true. He spoke from the soul. It's dark. It can be demented. It can be. Not all the time. Doesn't have to be. The archetype, the G.G. Allen, a baneful prophet of rot, disgust, and truth. Now, I'm not a huge fan of his type of music. I love punk rock, but never really got into him. I'm just using him as an example of what true sovereignty and what true authenticity is. Not giving a fuck about what anyone has to say, delivering your message because you say it. Even in the interviewer, even in the video, an interview asked him, "Who told you this?" He goes, "No one told me this. I told myself this. I'm the underground messiah. I'm the king of rock and roll." You know, if we're gonna listen to it, you know what? Let's tell you what. Let's see if I can pull it up here on my computer, and we can listen to it. Let me find it here first. Let's go to videos. I will have to rewind it. Here we go. All right, so this is the punk rocker. We're gonna listen to it. I'll add it in here. I'm gonna go ahead and warn you. If you're listening to this to a speaker and you got people around, you don't want them to hear bad languages and like crazy shit, because this dude goes off the rails. He's a different type of nuts. It's not really nuts mental illness, it's pure sovereignty, but it can be perceived as someone that doesn't know, doesn't understand. It's out there. So here we go. This was his last interview before he died, and there's magic in that too. I'll show you that. He's right there, 19 seconds in. He's already stating his will. He's telling you what he's going to do. This is ritual. He even states that it's ritual. Everything in reality is ritual. But this is a complete ritual to the T. This is death magic. All right, when he says he's the king, that kind of sounds like he's been initiated. He's speaking like a magician, whether he knows it or not. Most likely he didn't know it, okay? But his subconscious is speaking, I'm the king. Magic is for someone that's trying to become a god or a king, or a god king. Going to the God man, the form, rising above being a human, elevating the consciousness. So he knows that his consciousness is elevated. He sees things differently. He sees it as a game, as life is bullshit. Let's continue. He is the king. He is the Messiah. Now, let's understand this word Messiah. It's so used wrong by Christianity, and they did that on purpose. All right, Messiah comes from the Hebrew word Mashiach. And what is a Mashiach? It's a king. The Hebrew nation had many Mashiachs. They had, or however you say it in Hebrew, they had many kings. David, Mashiach David, or David. Let's see who else. Solomon, famous king, Mashiach. You had a lot of kings. Harold, there's a lot of kings of Israel. That doesn't mean there's some guy coming out of the sky that's going to die on a cross and save you and save all humanity. If you need someone to save you, you're already fucked. Save yourself. Take responsibility for your actions. Some God didn't do it to you, and some Satan didn't hurt you and torment you to do that. You did it yourself. Wake up. So let's continue this. All right, so he goes off the hinges right there. He's just stating what he says is true. I don't agree with him, but he's being authentic. He knows that he's the underground Messiah. No one has told him outside. He has received the message from inside. Do I think he was meditating and doing magic? Most likely not. He was a big partier. Did a lot of drugs, drank a lot. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your life path. You see, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The people that are looking and seeking for answers, I got to find truth, got to find truth, got to find truth. That's your ego. The truth will find you. You just live life. If it's supposed to be for you, it's supposed to be for you. If it's not, it's not. That's just the way it is. So, there'll be enough there with G.G. Allen. That is a great example on pure black flame sovereignty. That was his final interview. So every action he took, as you could see or hear, every grotesque display was a spell against the machinery of conformity. He was right. You cannot be a conformist and follow the left-hand path. If we apply it over that, you have to destroy what your parents taught you, because most likely they were full of shit and didn't know anyways. Unless you come from parents that were initiated under the Black Flame. And if you're listening to this channel, it's probably a good chance you didn't get initiated by parents who were educated in the Black Flame. And like a true prophet, he died young. He didn't fade, he detonated. G.G. Allen actually died on June 28th, 1993, at the age of 36. A number that's not coincidental. In black magic numerology, 36 does not mean balance and completion. It means collapse through force. It is 3 creation and 6 seduction, obsession, mirrored, distortion. Combine the formula of seductive destruction, a number that devours itself to leave behind only truth. It is baneful. It is a baneful glyph of fulfilled damnation, the final echo of a mission complete. He did not die a normal man. He did not live as a normal man. He died encoded. He was the unholy prophet, the exile flame, the proof that sovereignty cannot be sanitized. If you want to be sovereign, you can't be fucking corporate Wall Street type person. Slick hair and perfection. Can't do that bullshit. What that means is just not the way you look, it's everything that comes along with that look. The lying to yourself, the making stories to fit in. So, finish this with G.G. Allen. He lived what you were punished for becoming. And in that, G.G. Allen stands as proof. Society may exile the flame, but the flame writes history anyways. It doesn't matter. Basically, the universe is going to do whatever the fuck it wants to do. Get used to it. You're going to have to eat those shit sandwiches eventually. All right, the Codex of Inner Archetypes. Seen through the Codex lens, every biblical pair is an internal right. Pair outer story, inner code, Cain and Abel. Brother kills brother, shadow slays ego. Aaron and Moses, priest versus prophet. Voice of ritual versus flame of truth. Jacob and Esau. Trickster versus instinct. Subtle mind overrides brutal nature. Saul and King David versus rebellion, authority replaced by raw anointing. Jesus and Judas. Savior versus betrayer. Light and shadow and sacred tension. These are not moral tales. They are field diagrams. They encode your inner architecture, and each betrayal is actually a liberation. Field diagrams are symbolic or mythic representations of energetic architectures. They map the dynamics of power, identity, and transformation happening within a personal energetic field. In Black Flame Magick and Codex work, a field diagram does not describe physical behavior. It reveals how archetypical energies, duality constructs, or mythic narratives are playing out in your internal structure. Just as a circuit diagram shows how electricity flows through a machine, a field diagram shows how power, identity, and myth flow through your being. So philosophically speaking, a field diagram shows you what part of yourself is active or suppressed, where tension or initiation is encoded, what energy must be killed, surrendered, or crowned to achieve sovereignty. The Non-Dual Black Magician. Part 7. To practice black magic is to reject false dualities, not escape them. You don't become the light. You don't master the shadow, per se. You collapse the myth and you write from the shadow, but not in a trauma-fueled way that is unconscious. No. One knows they are operating from shadow because shadow represents the darkness, not the darkness in sick, perverted, or retarded way or form. Darkness as in void. Source. From here, you discard the ego on sight by completely killing the ego. For the ego will never return. That is why that's why in black magic we say Cain must kill Abel to become the true living God that he or she is. You act not from story, but from command. This is not peace, this is precision. Okay, so part 8, the sovereign field. When the ego dies, something remains. not silence, not light, not darkness. Signal, presence, unnameable command. You don't identify with the fire. You become the one who decides when and how to burn. You do not react to enemies. You decide what is permitted to exist in your field. You don't perform power. You speak it into reality. Part 9, integration as authority. This isn't about healing wounds, it's about remembering that the battlefield was staged. You are not the soldier. You are the playwright who sets the scene and now chooses to burn the script. In most systems, integration is treated as a healing act. You make peace between ego and shadow. But in black magic, integration is domination. You don't hug the parts, you rewrite them. You make the ego a servant. You make the shadow an interface. And you sit as the unshakable command core behind both. Authority is not something you earn, it's something you remember. It's the field that says, I am not my parts. I am not my pain. I am not my past. I am the force that used all of it and is bound by none of it. That's integration in its highest form. That's how gods are made. Final decree. To remember this truth is not enough. You must install it. You must live it. You must write it. You were never wrong. You were always fire. And now the world will see it. All right, if you made it this far in the podcast, I appreciate it. I'm going to wrap it up here. It's been going on for over an hour. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time for the next podcast. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. You'll know the same time the video is posted, of course. That's when I'll know too. All right. I hope you have a good day, good evening, good night, wherever you are at. Wherever you are at. This is the Architect, and I'm out.